Well, hello everyone and welcome to the second of our online confirmation classes, and I hope you're all keeping safe and keeping well today, wherever you are and wherever you're watching this. Now I'm going to begin today with a little quiz, just like we did last time. You might remember we had our true and false quiz. Different kind of quiz today. It's a picture quiz, and I'm going to show you some pictures of famous people. And I want you to see if you can identify who they are, to see if you can recognise who these people are. And I'm not going to give the answers now in the video. I'm going to put the pictures and the questions in the handout or the assignment that I'm going to upload on Google Classroom with this video. And you can put the answers in there and then we'll see if you get them right. Okay. So, are you ready? Here we go. And I'm just going to hold up my iPad here with the pictures on. This is the first person. I wonder if you can recognise who that is. You might like to make a little note. As I say, the pictures will go up on the handout, so don't worry about that. And then I think I need to do it this way. Yep. There's our second famous person. Do you recognise who that is? Moving along. Anybody any idea who that is? Number 3. Number 4. And I think this is the last one. Nope. There's one more after this. Number 5. And finally, number 6. Okay, there we are. Fun little quiz just to get us started. And I'll come back to the reason why we did that in just a second, because I just want to recap what we looked at last time. And last time, you might remember, we looked at the whole idea of believing in God and how we actually know that there is a God, and how we know that God is real. And we looked at some of the evidence, really, that we can show to suggest and to say that we believe there is a God. And it fell into two parts. Excuse me. Fell into two parts, you might remember. The first part was when we looked at creation. Do you remember all those pictures that I showed and I asked you to choose a favourite one? And there were different types of creation. So there was the galaxy with all the stars and the planets. There was the rainforest, the desert. I think there was a waterfall in there. There were different kinds of animals. There were cute kittens. There was a tiger. There were fish in the brightly coloured coral reef. There were flowers. There were people. And the point is that all of those different aspects of creation, all are amazing, all are beautiful, all are wonderful in their different ways. And that suggests to us there must be someone who made it all. There must be somebody who created it all. And that, of course, is God. So that's the first reason why we say there is a God, because of the beautiful creation there is around us that we can admire and that we can sort of think is wonderful. That's the first thing. The second reason why we can believe there is a God is because of us human beings. And in the little exercise I got you to do, I got you to think of your best friend or friends and why they're special, and then got you to think about something special about yourself. And one of the things that we said was that those things that make us special, our good qualities, our good points, again, are reasons why we can believe there is a God. We're not just robots, we are human beings with emotions and thoughts and feelings, and we all have our unique different qualities. Some people are good at some things, other people are good at others. And again, we believe it's God that has given us those qualities and those gifts that make us special, that make us who we are. So two reasons then that we can know and believe there is a God. Firstly, the creation all around us in all its beauty tells us there's a God who made it, and us, human beings, with our special qualities Again, we believe it's God who has given us those qualities. Well, we're moving on today and we're thinking about how can we get to know God. And this is where our quiz came in, really, because how do you know who those people were? Hopefully you're able to recognise them all. How were you able to identify them? And of course, the reason or the way in which you were able to identify them is because you've seen those people before. Because they're famous, you know what they look like. So the first person, I can go back to the first person. I won't give away the answer, I'll try not to anyway. First person there, you've seen her before, you know what she looks like, you know this person has got certain hairstyle, wears certain clothes, etc. And that information that's in your head, you can apply it to when you see the picture and you say, ah yes, I know who this person is. I recognise the person from what I know about them previously. So I'm thinking now, how can we recognise God at work in our world? Well, we can, none of us knows what God looks like. None of us can actually see God as a person, but we can see what God is like. We know that God is loving, God is creative, God is faithful, God is special, God is amazing, all those words you use to describe God in your work that you've handed in. And when we see those things in the world, when we see something that's loving, when we see something that's good, when we see something that's kind, we can think to ourselves, ah yes, I know that's what God is like, and therefore you can recognise God at work in the world. Okay, as I say, we're thinking about how we can get to know God. It's all very well knowing there is a God there in the first place and having the evidence for that, but how can we get to know what God is like? Now, these people on the pictures, they're all famous people. We know them, we recognise them, but do we actually know what they're like? Do we know what they're like as individuals, as people? We'd only know that if we were friends with them. Well, we believe that we can be friends with God and we can get to know God and what He's like. And I want you to do a little exercise next, and again you can do this afterwards, and I'll put it on the assignment which I'll upload. And this is to draw, if you could be so kind, a little path of your life so far. A little line, really, which shows your life, and mark on there all the major things that have happened to you, all the significant things that have happened in your life. Because we believe that God is with us through all the ups and downs of life. And just as an example, I'll show you one that I've done here. Obviously yours will be different, but it might have some of the similar things on it. So here's mine. Okay, now at the top, there is when I was born, which is a fairly important event, and that will be in common for most of us. Then a little line, and I started school. That was the next thing that happened to me, and that was quite an important event. Again, you know, one thing that's happened to a lot of us. Then the next thing that happened when I was about 15 or 16, my granny died. Now that was a very sad time, of course. Really the first time that anybody close to me had died. So that was an important event. Then I went to university, which again was an important moment in my life because it was the first time I'd really left home. Then after that I became a vicar, which again was important because it's my job that I've been doing ever since. Then after that, well, when I became a vicar and had my own place, I got a dog because I'd always wanted to have a dog and never managed to when I was living at home. So when I was on my own, I got a dog. That was a great thing, great milestone. Then a bit later on after that, my second granny died, which again was sad. Then I moved to Ludlow to be a vicar there. Then during this time, had holidays in America because my brother moved out there, so it was nice to go and visit him. Then sad event again, my dog died, and then I moved to Aberdare 7 years ago. Other things have happened too, as well as that. But those are the main things. So it doesn't have to be a huge thing, but just if you can put out on a piece of paper, something like that, your life journey so far and the key events. And some of them will be happy things, some of them will be sad, some might be a mixture of the two. And what we believe, one of the things we believe about God and that we can really know about God is that he's always there. Through all the good things and the bad things, he's always with us on our life's journey. And that's one of the things we can know about God. He's faithful and he's always there with us. So, I'm going to move on now and tell you a little story. And it's a story that Jesus told from the Bible, one of his parables. And a parable is simply a story with a special meaning to it. And this is in the form of a video. So you can look this up in the Bible, but I just thought it might be fun to watch it as a video, as a sort of cartoon. And again, this is all about trying to show us what God is like. Okay, so if I press play now and hold it up to the screen, hopefully you'll be able to see it.
There was a man who had 2 sons. One day, the younger son said to his father,
"Father, give me my share of the estate. I want to go out and see the world, have fun, and get away from this place."
"Are you sure that's what you want to do, son? This is your home, and we are your family who love you very much."
"Nope, my mind's made up. I want to go."
"Very well, then."
"Thanks, Father. See you around, big brother."
And so the younger son took off for a distant country with his share of the estate.
Hey kid, you're new around here, aren't you?
Yep, just got into town.
Well, then you've come to the right place. Step right inside and you are gonna have the time of your life.
Really? All right.
It didn't take long before the young son had spent all his money on foolish pleasures and so-called fun.
What do you mean you don't have any more money? Get out and stay out.
Oh man, what have I done?
Hey kid, you look like you could use some help.
I sure could. All my money's gone, and I've got no place to stay.
Well then, how would you like to work for me? It's a great job with lots of fringe benefits. What do you say?
Sure, thanks. Great job with fringe benefits? Yuck! This is awful. I'm starving. Ugh. What am I doing here? My father has servants with food to spare, and here I am, starving to death. I'm gonna go back home and ask my father to forgive me. Anything would be better than this.
And so the prodigal son got up and went back home to his father. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him.
Father, I have sinned against heaven, and I have sinned against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.
"No, no, my son. Quick, servants, bring the best robe for my son, and put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Tonight we will have a feast and celebrate, for this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found."
It's never too late to say you're sorry and ask for forgiveness. God's love and mercy for each one of us is everlasting.
There we are. Let me just switch that off. My arm's aching a bit now. There we are. Put the iPad down. Put the microphone back on. So, as I say, that is one of the parables of Jesus, and the parables are stories that give us a lesson, something we can learn from them about God. Now, in the story there, and you may know this already, the old man the father in the story is supposed to refer to God, okay? And the younger son is supposed to refer to any of us, because we can all, like him, make mistakes, go wrong, do the wrong thing. And it shows us what God is like when we mess up and make mistakes. So a couple of things I want you to think about from the story. Firstly, I want you to think of a word or words that you would use to describe the father in the story. You remember he gave his son the money, let him go off, and then he welcomed him back afterwards. How would you describe the father, his attitude? And secondly, how would you describe the son? What words would you use to describe him? You remember he wanted the money, went off, spent it all, lost it all, and then came back and was very sorry. So how would you describe him? What sort of attitude did he show in the story? And those things, as I say, can show us a little bit what God is like. That was the reason Jesus told the story, to basically show us what God is like so we can get to know God a bit. Right, well, we're nearly at the end of our session today. I'm just going to get the handout, which I will also put on Google Classroom, and just go over any bits. Oh, there, it's on the floor. So, we got on here on the handout the exercise about the life path, which you could do. Then there's the story about the father and the son, so you could read the little summary of the story there. And then it says here, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but it's something to think about. Tick the statement that best describes where you are in relation to God now at this moment. Thinking of yourself as the son, are you running away from God? Are you having a good time in a far-off land? Are you feeling empty and lost? Are you turning round to come back on your way home in the arms of the Father or back in the heart of the family? Where are you with God at this moment in time? And on the back of the handout, something to read there, where it says spot the difference, it talks about 3 ways in which we can say God makes a difference to our life. Why actually do we believe in God? Why do we go to church and everything else? It's because we believe knowing God makes a difference. And there are 3 things they talk about here. First is the God-shaped hole. In other words, without God, there's like a bit of a hole in our life, a bit something missing, which only God can fill. Second is glorious technicolor. It says people have described knowing God as the difference between seeing the world in black and white and seeing the world in colour. Just knowing God gives so much more to life, really. Makes life seem like it's in full colour. It's so much better, really. And then the third thing is darkness and light. The Bible often speaks of people being in darkness without God. Getting to know him is like switching on the light or the breaking of the dawn. And it says at the bottom, which of these ideas makes the most sense to you when you think about God? What difference does God make to your life? Okay, and that really is it for today. Have a look at the handout, as I say, have a look at the exercises which I will include. And what I'm going to do now is just say a little bit of a psalm. Do you remember that we had a psalm last time to finish with? I'm just going to say one little line of a psalm today, which is from Psalm 46. And it says this: Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Something for us all to do there, really. Sometimes we just need to take time to be still and know that God is there. Now, as I said, from the game at the start, where we recognised the famous people, we can recognise God, we can get to know God. We can't reach out and touch him or see him face to face, but we can get to know him in lots of different ways. And it's also a lifelong journey getting to know God. Going back to our life path, all throughout life we can continue to get to know God more and more. And there's many things that can help us to get to know him, saying our prayers, going to church, being with other Christians, reading the Bible, and so on. And some of those things we're going to explore in the next few sessions, the next few weeks. But the main way in which we can come to know God is through the life of Jesus, because we believe he is God in human form on earth. And that's what we'll be looking at next time. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. And as I say, have a look at all the activities and exercises that will be on Google Classroom. And any questions, let me know. And hope you're keeping safe, keeping well. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.